monadic DNA is essentially the privacy preserving response to 23andMe. So if you're familiar with 23andMe, you already know what
Yep.
happened. If you're not and you're listening to this, 23andMe is and was a genomic sequencing company which allowed you to basically, spit in a vial, send that to a lab, it gets processed, tells you a bunch of very useful information about yourself, and then there's all kinds of other variations on this as well, like ancestry.com, etc. Now, 23andMe obviously, was custodying this data. And at one point, inevitably, we'll get to this, there was a data leak, right? Because anything that has a backdoor will be exploited eventually. And that's what we're building our model on, that there cannot be a backdoor. Cannot be a permission to look at the data, not by anybody at the company, not by anybody on the outside. So what does that mean practically? You might say like, okay, that's just a bunch of random data points about me. The point about AI that you raised, Rachel, which I think is very interesting, is that AI makes it so that any other third party that wants to will in the future, having collected this vast array of data points about each individual, draw whatever conclusions and find inferences and connections between data points that would be impossible to the naked human eye or to a human being, right? That means that two completely separate things that you're doing that you think have no relation to each other, when analyzed by an AI algorithm scraping through every data point of every click you ever made and every step you ever took, can find things that are not good for you. And what I mean by that isn't necessarily even that they'll use it against you, but it could be that they use it against you in the sense of going to an insurance company and saying like, oh yeah, this person, this brand new research, there's this new research that doesn't have regulations around it, which means that the laws around how you can or can't use this particular sort of health data is not clear. And therefore companies can do whatever they want. And that means that, for example, there could be a future where they say, well, we have all this very sensitive information, something like genomic sequencing. We can sell it to insurance companies so they can then adjust people's premiums based on predispositions they might have, right? So that's one
Wow.
example. And so monadic DNA kind of seeing that, and seeing that at the same time in states like New York State, they're passing laws where newborns have to be genomically sequenced, realize this is basically a massive honeypot in the making of the entire, American population born in the state.
Scary.
So yeah, so there has to be, it's not that we're going to stop doing genomic sequencing because we're the human race and we're progressing scientifically, but we have to do it in a way that ensures that this very sensitive data is not eventually leaked to the highest bidder.